July 29, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. There was no economic data that came out to really move the market. This is FOMC week. So on Wednesday and probably tomorrow, well, tomorrow I anticipate it will be a slow day as a bunch of people are probably going to sit on the sidelines waiting to see what Wednesday is going to reveal. And Wednesday is the FOMC rate decision. I think everybody's expecting that the Fed is not going to really change rates, but there are a few analysts and few people thinking there might be a rate cut. But I think everybody's expecting more likely a rate cut will come in September. However, nobody really knows what's going to happen. So I think tomorrow will be slow. Today was a little slow. And then Wednesday, there's probably going to be some crazy fireworks as the rate decision comes out at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard. And then Jerome Powell comes out and adds some color commentary at 11:30 Pacific Standard. And that usually, depending on what he says, the market usually gets kind of choppy, reacts really weird. But the initial surge, up or down, will happen right around 11. I think there's other economic data coming out that day. So Wednesday will be an interesting day. This is what this is how I saw the charts today. It was kind of range bound with an overshoot or a failed breakout and a move back in. Most of the trading, I would say, probably fit within where my cursor is here and then maybe down here. But most of the trading looked like it was all in trend channels and maybe a few times in these ranges. But most of the time, I would say it was all trend trading. I took two trades today. The first one was a loss and the second one was a win. And there were a few decent setups, a lot of triple tests that I noticed. I'm going to go into the trades right now. Just going to go through where I saw the trades instead of doing a bar by bar. Just makes the video shorter and makes it faster for me. So quickly, in the pre-market, there was a spike up, consolidation, a sell-off, and another surge up. A sell-off on this yellow down channel. Initially, I was thinking of this green down channel, but it broke out, tested the low, and kept going. So I ended up drawing this yellow down channel. The first setup that I saw was actually right here. So after the break of this yellow down channel, prices were kind of consolidating in this trading range. So in real time, I'm thinking, okay, I'm in a trading range. EMA is coming back down to meet prices. It hits this side, and it does break out. And I'm thinking fail breakout, especially after I see this candle, but there's only a first entry. TikTok gave a second entry right here. This is actually where I saw the first decent setup, but just, this is the follow-up. You'd already have taken the trade by this time. I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. But I also saw it as a spike in an orange channel up. It's also first attempt up, second attempt up. So here, per the technical count, you do have a first entry short, second entry short. Right here, the second entry short has failed because it ticked one tick above and it came back down. Here, you do have a confirmed second entry long. So it's a new high, first entry long, pullback, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar for the second entry long, but it is a decent setup because it does move a few ticks below and then reverses strongly. It also bounces off the outside of the trading range, so it could be a failed breakout pullback. I didn't really quite recognize this in real time until after the move was made, but I look back and I think this was maybe a decent trade to have taken. In hindsight, if I was more aware, I think I would have taken it right at the high of this candle. This candle is about 9 ticks, so it would be right here, and then my exit or my my stop would be below this candle. So on the following candle, looks like I would have gotten filled, and I would have gotten the quick 1 point scalp. So unfortunately, I didn't quite recognize this and take the chance on it. So then prices move up, and this yellow up channel breaks, and this green pushes up on this orange up channel. There's an overshoot here. So this actually sets up my first trade. So I see this orange up channel pushing up. There's an overshoot here. It's a first entry long, second entry long, pullback. I like that it did similar to what it did here. It was a push down below and then it pushed up and engulfed the previous signal bar. So it helps make up for the bad signal bar. But after this overshoot here, I was thinking, is there going to be another attempt down because it could be a more stronger correction? I was hoping for a touch off the EMA. So it's the first entry long, second entry long, follow-up is still second entry long. Looks like it might be moving back into the orange up channel. It pushes down. I thought this is a really good setup, except for the fact, that it didn't touch the EMA, but I discounted it and I said, okay, well, I want to enter here and ideally push up through the localized high. So I actually entered 1 tick above, and my exit is, because I entered here at 55.24. I need to get out at 55.25.25 to ensure I get a clear exit. So I actually entered here. It stalls and it flushes down and stops me out, which is my stop is one tick below here. Now, in hindsight, I look at this and I don't think it was definitely more of an aggressive trade because you have an overshoot on this side, so it's already a break and a new high. So one attempt up, two attempts up, even though it came up, it made kind of close to this high and then flushed down. This higher low is weak or not the best because it didn't bounce off the EMA. So it is a little bit higher, floating in the middle of nowhere. I tried to think if the top of the trading channel was maybe up here, which in this case, I could have a better justification for taking a trade here because you're thinking it's going to move up. But unlike the bottom, which has these nice confirmations, this one has the best confirmations kind of lower, touches here, touches here, touches here. So to drag this up to here, I don't think this is actually where the top of the trend channel is. I believe it was actually down here. This really was an overshoot. I should have treated this overshoot with a little more respect. Maybe it would have avoided this potential bad trade. Well, not bad trade, but aggressive trade. When prices start moving down, I saw there's a spike in a green down channel, fit pretty well. So overshoot here, pushes up, attempted to make a new low, and it did. It flushes up on this, pushes up on this yellow up channel, and it didn't. It broke, tested a new high, and it kept going. So then I found potentially this orange up channel. It breaks and starts coming back down again. This purple channel doesn't exist yet. I did toy with the idea of potentially a support here. So I actually had one touch, two touch. There was no third touch and it broke below and it consolidated. So I thought maybe this is a potential fail breakout. Pushes up, makes another attempt up. So it's a break of this yellow up channel, tests, makes a new high. That's where I ended up drawing this purple down channel, which looked like it fit pretty well. And the bottom doesn't confirm too many times, so I don't trust the bottom as much as I potentially trust the top. It pushes down on this orange down channel, breaks through this support again, and this is the pre-market low. And here I actually think it sets up a decent setup here. It breaks out of this orange down channel, tests and makes a new low. So now I'm thinking, okay, is it going to make another leg down or is it going to potentially reverse up? But seeing as the market has been kind of bearish, I'm expecting prices to maybe continue back down. So I watched this consolidation happen. It creates a triple test here and there's two clean legs up, one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up. This is a triple test, second entry short. Also, I had this support because I was debating whether this support was actually the bottom of a trading range, with the top of the trading range maybe up here. Nevertheless, it is a nice rejection here. It's failing to break through. EMA is starting to hold prices down. It made one attempt up. The second one pushes down. So the entry would be, I think, after the close of this bar. And to reduce the risk, because this is a 3.25 bar, I'd probably set it up a little bit higher. So, it's debatable whether I would have gotten filled or not, depending on how conservative I was. But it sounds like it would have been a good trade to, maybe even have one tick below here. One tick below, I'm not as keen on because you're going to run into potential support. So I would have stepped it up a little bit higher on the stop limit order. Looked like it would have worked. Prices then push down, breaks out of the pre-market lows, and starts trending down. This is actually where I end up taking my second trade. So it pushes down, and I was playing with a potential channel like this at one time, but it didn't really fit quite clean. And it looked like I entered a consolidation trading range here. So this is actually where I took a trade. My notes. Okay. So this is potentially the top of a trading range. So as you can see, there was a new low here, matching new low. So it's a first entry short pullback, second entry short. It's two clean legs up. It hits the top of this range. I was looking for a lower high. On the life of this candle, I was hoping it would tick one tick above and flush down, but it didn't quite make it above. It was starting to flush down. It broke below this guy, which is what I want, first part, but the second part I wanted a tick above and then flush down. It didn't quite do it. This candle was getting close to closing, And so I saw an opportunity to say, okay, well, it looks like it might push really hard down, at least for a point. So I entered one tick below this guy. Now keep in mind, I originally wanted this candle, when I entered on, to move one tick up and flush down, but the life of the candle was ending. So I actually entered, it was definitely aggressive. I entered one tick below, and I thought I would get out on the next candle, but I was very lucky that this candle reacted quickly, pushed down, and got me my exit. So this isn't really a higher low. So it's more of a second entry short, but I really wanted a lower high, excuse me, not higher low, lower high here. Then I would have felt safer. But I jumped the gun on this one for sure. I was lucky it worked out and ended up being a clean trade. It pushes back up. It confirms the purple down channel, at least the resistance, which is looking pretty good. Comes down on this yellow down channel. It's a new high, first entry, not new high. It's a, technically you have a first entry long here, second entry long, and a third entry. It's a break of this yellow, tests the new low, and it starts reversing up. There was no real clean second entries because there's a second entry here, but it's a bad signal bar far from the EMA. Pushes up, breaks out of this orange up channel, and I thought I saw that maybe a more shallow green channel. Ended up, this didn't really matter if I drew this green one or not because it didn't really set up for anything. It hits this consolidation area, made 2 attempts up, then it hits kind of the top here, which I'm thinking I'm clearly in a trading range now. Trading range. Now it's technically a triple test here. If you took it all the way from back here, first entry short, that's first entry short, 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. The triple test isn't as strong in my opinion because I started way back here on a green bar. If this is kind of like a red bar where it came down and bounced up, then I'd trust the touch more, but it more likely just opened here. Well, not likely. The bar is telling you opened here, did a bunch of stuff, and it closed high. So I actually counted this more like a 2 test touch, not a triple test. But I like this trade in that even though this candle is red and it came off the top of the trading range, it's potentially going to bounce. And when you're watching this in real time, you see it move open, move 1 tick below. It starts oscillating and actually pushes above and engulfs this red bar and closes at the high. So I thought, okay, on top of that, even though you're not looking for second entries on a trading range, you do have 1 leg down, push up, and a second leg down. So technically there's a second entry long here. Signal bar isn't as clean, but it doesn't quite matter because you're flattening out on the EMA. So I thought this is a potential trade. The reason I skipped it was I felt the stop was too large because this is a 12 tick bar. So you'd have to have 1 tick below, and, and it just felt too big a risk. And this bar, because you'd have to enter after seeing this bar close, it would be a 15 tick bar, which is definitely too high, too large. It looks like it would have worked. And I'm okay skipping that one because it just felt a little dicier. It has a fail breakout here. Technically, you have a lower high here, and it flushes down on this yellow down channel, moves up on this kind of this orange up channel. There's no clean second entries that I could see. You have a bunch of second entries or even third entries here, but it's just too choppy. It's just making kind of the seesaw move with the EMA already kind of flat, with it starting to show a bearish bias. So I'm not too keen on this setup because the bars are the same size, but they're not moving that much more above or below the previous bar. You do have a trending bias of bearishness, but it just felt a little bit choppy here, so I didn't want to risk anything in this area. I do see the second entry short here. So here you clearly have a good developing trend channel going down, this purple one. There's a double bottom here. And I saw this as a new low. It's a first entry short here, pushes up. Unfortunately, it doesn't break above and it creates a second entry short. The second entry short, and it's confirmed right here. This is, I would think, a little more aggressive. It's a possible trade. It is a good signal bar for a second entry short, and it's a bounce rejection off this purple down channel. Clearly, I'm not thinking this orange up channel is going to test the high anymore. And this yellow down channel, it really hasn't even tested its low yet. It had an attempt here and another attempt and potentially another attempt here. So I'm not really thinking that this is necessarily testing for its low now. I'm thinking this is just a brand new trend right here, trend channel coming down. So I didn't really take into account that, okay, this hasn't tested its low, it might be coming down, and this hasn't tested its high, it's going to go up, because the retrace on this and the correction's already gone too far. So I saw it as more its own independent trend channel going down on a kind of ambiguous day. So I thought this is a decent setup right here. Prices continue moving. There is potentially a fail breakout here. It's a small break, but it closed well within the purple, so I'm thinking the purple's still in play. It breaks out. Now this is a more clear fail breakout. And then it starts consolidating. It starts moving sideways like it's done in the past. Like it's consolidated and moved sideways here, move sideways here, move sideways here. So I'm just watching now. I thought there was a new low here. First entry shorts, second entry shorts, back signal bar. It's floating inside this blue trading range pretty well. It's a fail breakout here, but it didn't really do that much. There is a triple test here, and it potentially a second entry long. I wasn't that keen on this particular setup because technically you do have a new high here. You have a first entry long. You technically have a second entry long, and you really have a third entry long. But I saw it as first entry long, pullback, and then this kind of moved with it down for a second entry long. So it's not the cleanest count. So I thought it was more like close to an almost trade, but I just didn't like the second entry long being potentially a third entry long. It's a break of this yellow down channel. Tested and made the new low, but it feels very congested here. So I thought it was more of an almost trade. When prices move up, breaks out of this yellow up channel, kind of consolidates here. Again, it's creating this trading range here. Clearly have support. The triple test here, one touch, two touch. Grouped together as third touch. You technically have a new high here. First entry long, break of this orange up channel, one attempt up, pull back, potentially a second attempt up, but then you also have a higher low. I like that the higher low moved one tick below and then flushed all the way back up with a decently strong close. So I thought this is a possible trade. Then prices continue moving up. It breaks out of this blue up channel and then kind of consolidates and comes back down. And this is toward the last 30 minutes where it gets a little bit more volatile, and I don't really trade that time. Ended up being kind of an interesting day. Granted, the two trades that I took, the first one was with a higher low, a little bit far from the EMA, so it probably should have been skipped or I should have been more patient. And the second one was definitely a little more aggressive because even though I marked it as a second entry short, I was actually looking for a lower high, and I actually just jumped on it because as I was watching the life of this candle was nearing the close, I saw there was a lot of momentum still pushing it down, so it was more of a riskier trade, not the best high probability. So hopefully that was helpful.